guys, welcome to the kitchen. My name is Chef Dan McCowan. I'm the executive chef at Bloom at Conestoga College in Waterloo. We're here today to talk about healthy eating. I think as part of mental health, I'm a really big believer that diet is a huge influence on how we're feeling overall, to not only how our body feels and our health, but just how our mind feels, how we operate. Helps with struggling with fatigue, having that sharpness you need, especially when it's the busy time of being in school and focusing on your studies. So a couple things that I'm going to do here are I've kind of thought about a couple things that I did when I was in school that I found that were really easy to do on a budget, really healthy, and could be very versatile. So it's not like this recipe you need to stick to, but something that you can kind of just keep some staples in your fridge and have them ready to go, so you're not always just referring to like processed foods and fast food, stuff like that. Can be easy, can be cheap, but also healthier options to really help you have that overall mind health and all the stuff that's super important. One thing that I started making when I was in my teenage years, when I was first cooking at home and alone, whenever I want a snack, is just edamame, shelled edamame. Super cheap. This bag I got at the grocery store is about $2. You probably get about like 3 snacks out of this, so like for less than $1 you can have a nice fresh snack. And I would always experiment with putting different sorts of things when I cook these. But right out of the freezer, you can have this ready in honestly a minute. Okay, so just a little bit of boiling water on your stove. However much you feel like doing in there, you might throw in there. These are flash frozen as they're cooked, so all we're really doing is trying to get them hot, bring them back into temperature. So these right out of the freezer onto the plate will be about 1 minute. To add a little bit of flavor like that, like sometimes I've added things like chili paste or just fresh lemon and salt, some soy sauce, whatever you've got. Like, it's honestly perfect for whatever condiments you've got in your fridge or freezer, in your cupboards, whatever. But even just like basic salt is like super delicious. So all I'm gonna do today is a little bit of chopped garlic, something that we can always kind of keep as a kitchen staple. I'm gonna take 1 lemon, half that, a little bit of lemon juice right in the bowl. Do that, mix that around there. Like I said, all we're gonna do is make sure that this is really heated this through. You can always just test one if you wanna make sure, but I think after just even 1 minute of being in that nice boiling water, just gonna strain this off. Okay, nice pinch of salt, nice bit of chili flake to give a little tiny bit of heat. And all that is that. Okay, so nice and easy. You can sit down, instead of having a bag of chips or some cookies or whatever may be just easy in the pantry, that's really not gonna give us that nice brain strength that we need. We're gonna do something like this. That's a beautiful snack. It'll kind of quench your hunger and also give you a little bit more brain power there. Another thing that I was really focused on cooking when I first started cooking, it doesn't take a chef to have to be able to put together some really super easy and healthy meals in your home kitchen. I grew up eating a ton of curry. My dad is from Guyana. It was like at least once a week we would be having a bowl of curry. So it was natural for me when I first started doing my own cooking on my own, that would be like some of the things I would start experimenting with. So any sort of vegetables that you really like can go in a curry dish, a stewed dish. You can make it spicy, you can make it light, you can add fruits to it. Like, it's a perfect way to sort of use up leftovers. If I'm gonna do a vegetarian one today, if you eat meat, if you had like leftover chicken, perfect. Take the leftover chicken, dice it up, that can go into a curry with whatever vegetables you have. So for me, it's always been a perfect go-to still to this day. One thing I would suggest that everyone should have in their home is for healthy eating and for ease of heating is a rice cooker. This is the one I brought from home, honestly, like when you don't even know what you want for dinner, putting some rice in, getting that started, and then just getting a saute, getting whatever you have in your house. Super easy. Leftovers are really fun and easy to heat up. But Personally, I think it's a tool that you should have in every kitchen. Looking up, you can get one from Canadian Tire or Amazon or something starting at like $30, anywhere up to a couple $100. Even a basic one that just has an on-off function is gonna make you like perfectly cooked rice without having to be a chef and know exactly what you're doing. So the basic recipe for cooking rice will be like 1 part rice to 2 parts liquid. I've picked like a whole grain basmati, it's my personal favorite, but white rice, whole grain, jasmine rice, any sort of thing, just into the cooker. So again, just into the rice cooker. I like to add a little pinch of salt. I'm gonna put just like little tiny spoon of curry powder in there, just to put some nice flavor into the rice itself. And then one thing, I love cilantro, but wanting to make sure that we're using the whole fruit, the whole vegetables, getting max money for our dollar. Cilantro stems, do not throw these away. They are a fantastic ingredient to put in all sorts of cooking to get really nice flavor. So I'll usually just dice a little bit of those stems in there. Can be rough chopped, doesn't have to be too pretty. Right into the rice cooker and press start. Even if you come home and you're not preparing timing-wise or anything, you throw rice in this thing, once it's done cooking, it has a hold function, that can sit in there for an hour, just waiting for you whenever you're ready to have your food. So it's honestly, like you can do it on the stovetop in a pot, but for ease, I 100% recommend having one of these in your kitchen. So for our ingredients today, I just honestly grabbed whatever was in the fridge. I'm gonna do some onions, some sweet potato, a little bit of peppers, and an apple. So again, don't have to be a chef. It doesn't have to be perfectly pretty. We're gonna stew all this stuff together. So even rough chops or anything like that, it's gonna come together pretty nicely. Cooking can be intimidating at first, but there's no way to get better at cooking than to practice. And honestly, it can be so rewarding when you first start getting meals together that you've made yourself instead of buying. And the focus here is mental health. You can feel that you can feel the pride, you can feel that your body appreciating real ingredients compared to something that has been processed. Heavily processed foods are terrible for you. They can make you feel sluggish, they can make you feel depressed and all those sorts of things. So I think it is important for everyone to sort of practice. You're not gonna make from scratch chef meals every day, but creating these like natural ability to be able to cook at home is just a huge life skill that's really gonna help you out in so many more ways than just overall nourishment. So in a pan on the stove, like I said, just follow your heart. Recipes that you like, it doesn't have to be anything in particular. You can be meat, you could put beans, lentils, any sort of vegetables and fruits that you have in the house. Like, I didn't plan this ahead of time what I was gonna make today. I went and saw what was in the fridge and said, this'll work, you know? I think it's important to make sure you're stocking your fridge with fresh vegetables and fruits. If the whole process of going and gathering everything and making it in one day can be very overwhelming. But when you're at the grocery store, kind of have an idea, just make sure you're gonna get a couple fresh ingredients that you're gonna have so that when it comes time to make a meal, you know, those things are accessible. The edamame snack is a perfect example, sits in the freezer and it's ready to go for you whenever. Okay, so a little bit of apple. Don't even need to peel this if you don't want. Like I said, just rough chop. All that in the pan. I have some kale here. Sometimes I will stock things like baby spinach greens. They can be good for salads. They can always, the last of it can go in whatever stews or you're cooking on the stove. You know, again, just making sure you have a lot of these things. Green, dark green vegetables, loaded with fiber. One of the best things for your gut health. Always a staple to be able to put those like dark spinach, broccoli, kale, a lot of those things, super good for you and super delicious as well. For the sweet potatoes, I have a couple here I cut ahead just for the sake of the video today to to save on time. But just peeled, diced sweet potatoes, those can go in there as well. You see all the different colors. Sometimes I like to just even if you've got a different medley of colors of vegetables, you know you're kind of getting a lot of those different nutrients. Like I talk about dark green vegetables are very good for you. Sweet potatoes, all these things are really going to add to it. Going to add a little bit of garlic in here. This is a vegetarian one we're doing today. Very, very good for you. So we're going to use chickpeas as our protein. Sometimes I'll use like tempeh, tofu would work good. And then also any sort of like meat proteins if you like that, you know, chicken, fish. Try and keep it healthy, keep it light. We got a little bit of these chickpeas all in there, along with our vegetables. So we've got a good mix of veg in here. I'm gonna add a little bit of vegetable stock. Doesn't have to be vegetable stock, you can use water. Veg stock you can buy in the grocery store just like that. Gonna add a couple heavy spoons of our curry powder. And again, this is, curry has sort of always been my go-to. I'm gonna add a little bit of chilies because I like some heat. But all these things are optional ingredients, right? Like you don't have to it doesn't have to be spicy. We're really trying to focus on the exercise of just cooking some fresh, healthy ingredients. All those delicious, delicious vegetables are gonna bring their own flavor as well. So we don't have to overcomplicate it. It's more about just getting some practice, getting to know what you like to cook. And then every time you cook, it's gonna get a little easier, a little bit easier. And then you're gonna really start becoming creative in the kitchen. So I'm gonna add just a little bit of coconut milk as well. Add a little bit of richness, and then simmer this on the stove. Let that cook for a couple minutes. Okay, so our rice, after probably take about a half hour or so, it will be cooked. Like I said, it kind of has a keep warm function, so that's ready and hot whenever we're ready to go. As this curry's kind of coming down, this has been simmering for about a half hour. It's all the vegetables are sort of cooking. All that cook time is going to depend on what you're putting in there, of course. So if you're going to start with some raw potatoes, I had sweet potatoes in there. If you have chicken, whatever it may be, just whenever that is all cooked and it's all simmered together is when you're going to start thinking about getting your food together on the plate. So I'm just going to cut a little bit of green onions to put on the top of that, some nice fresh ones. Again, not 100% necessary for any of this stuff, just something I like. I think one thing that's a nice fun little trick when you're trying to keep on a budget is anything that has these little roots. The kale that I have here from the grocery store didn't have them, but things like celery, things like lettuce that comes ahead of lettuce, a little bit of water in a dish, put this in your windowsill. These have been on my desk, not even near a window in the kitchen for 2 days, and you can already see those green onions growing back. Nice little money-saving tip. Anything that has that root, you can grow your own celery, grow your own leaves just in the window. You know, with the cost of food these days, every little thing helps. You might get your dollar going about twice as far. So when you're feeling ready, I'm gonna season this with a little bit of salt, okay? Before you plate it, you know, give it a little taste. Make sure you're happy with that. Might have to add a little bit of heat if you like heat. Might want to add a little bit more salt. Okay, seasoning is good for me. So, like I said, we've got fresh rice right out of the rice cooker. Gonna be perfect every time if you follow those measurements. Okay, I'm gonna put that in our bowl. And one thing when you're doing cooking like this is you do it a little bit of a batch, is you can get ahead for your week. We're all very, very busy. You're not gonna have time to do this every single day. So nice to kind of get your week going. So what I'll do is have a couple of takeout containers. Always save the ones you get when you get takeout food, these plastic ones that can be reused. Because that way you're gonna have kind of, instead of just making yourself a meal, having to do all the dishes, you know, make yourself 3-4 meals at a time. These can either sit in the fridge for when you're ready for them, or we can put them in the freezer, and then hang on to them and really kind of get ahead so that we're setting ourselves up to not have to do a new one every single time. All right, so we'll put enough for one nice meal on the plate there, and then I'm gonna put all my meal prep here so that next time I'm hungry, again, I'm not gonna lean for that bag of potato chips. I'm not gonna go call McDonald's and see what they got on sale today. I'm gonna be ready to go with some nice brain food that's gonna make me feel good. Gonna, like I said before, have that sense of pride about the food that we're making, and it's gonna go a long way. It's gonna do a lot for you, both mentally and physically. Okay, so like I said, a little bit of our scallions on top of these. I like a little bit of lime. I'm gonna put a lime wedge on there. And then a little bit of our cilantro. Just give that a little wash. I love cilantro. We're gonna do a nice fresh cilantro on top. So there, a nice, easy, fresh vegetable curry bowl. Like I said, can go a million different ways with the same sort of cooking process. And then it's gonna really give you some nice, healthy eating options.